Now, for around 50 years, he was one of Britain's most loved entertainers, deploying his many talents across a range of programmes and even being welcomed into the palace to paint a portrait of the Queen. But it was this very popularity that made Rolf Harris untouchable and able to hide a darker side that attracted him to young girls, the court was told today. He denies 12 charges of indecent assault dating between 1968 and 1986. Our Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel reports from Southwark Crown Court.
Rolf Harris was not, in the eyes of the world, just a celebrity, but a national popular figure. He was an immensely talented man, excelling in arts, music, and above all, children's entertainment. But the 84-year-old entered the dock at Southwark Crown Court today to bear witness to allegations of a much darker side, a side which gave him the confidence to molest underage girls.
The prosecution does not for a minute suggest that there is not a good, talented and kind side to Mr. Harris. But concealed behind this charming and amicable children's entertainer lay a man who exploited the very children who were drawn to him.
It was, said the prosecution, down to Rolf Harris's fame and reputation that no one suspected or challenged his behaviour. The court heard that he was too famous, too powerful, and so much so that it meant he was untouchable. There is one alleged victim who the court was told Rolf Harris repeatedly molested over many years. The jury heard she was a friend of his family, and from the age of 13 back in 1978, she became the victim of his sexual advances. There were numerous incidents the court heard where he took advantage. By the time the alleged victim was in her 20s, she did effectively whatever he asked her to do. The grooming was complete, said the prosecution. She, in her view, had become Rolf Harris's little toy. The effect, said the prosecution, was devastating.
She drank in order to block out what was happening. Within a few years, she was a full-blown alcoholic.
Eventually, the court heard, she told her family, which prompted Mr. Harris to write to the girl's father, begging forgiveness.
I have been in a state of abject self-loathing. How we delude ourselves. I fondly imagined that everything that had taken place had progressed from a feeling of love and friendship. There was no rape, no physical forcing, brutality or beating that took place.
The prosecution described Rolf Harris's letter as a confession to a sexual relationship, but not while the girl was a child.
I said, "Why did you never just say no?" And she said, how could she say no to the great television star Rolf Harris? I had no idea that she was scared of me.
Mr. Harris ends the letter by offering to help the father's daughter, as he puts it, heal herself.
I would like to talk to you to apologise for betraying your trust and for unwittingly so harming your darling. I know that what I did was wrong, but we are all of us fallible, and oh, how I deluded myself. Please forgive me. Love, Rolf.
The prosecution said his sexual interest in this one alleged victim was not an isolated aberration. The jury would hear from 3 other women who alleged that they too were abused by the children's entertainer when they were young. The jury was told this was not about jumping on the post-Savile bandwagon. The evidence, the prosecution said, shows that Rolf Harris had a sexual interest in underage girls and a tendency to use his celebrity status with impunity. The prosecution ended by saying that if all the evidence is taken together, then it is less likely that any or each of the alleged victims has fabricated their story. Simon Israel, Channel 4 News, Southwark Crown Court.